Well, thanks again for the opportunity to be here today. Mark Frohnmayer, founder of Arcimoto. I'm going to start with the present, kind of go back to the past, talk a little bit about how I got involved in the vehicle business, and then a little bit about the future. You're going to hear some common themes that have been echoed from the speakers before, for good reason. So Arcimoto is a clean transportation company. We're building technologies and vehicle products for basically to help shift the world to a sustainable transportation system. Our first product is an ultra-efficient electric motorcycle meets go-kart for getting groceries. Seats 2, has 3 wheels. It's technically classified as a motorcycle. And our Generation 6 prototype is parked right outside, so during the lunch break, feel free to go and take a look if the park rangers have not towed it away. I got into this, a number of people along the way have sort of said, Mark, what business do you have being in the business that you're in? Given that my professional training was in computer programming, went on to be a game developer for a little bit more than a decade. And the answer is, well, I care a lot about transportation and I put together Legos as a child. No, but really, the way that I came about this was not the standard automotive executive path. I was a game developer. I had a company in Eugene called Garage Games. And I would say that Arcimoto really came about as the twin forces of exuberance and despair. So we sold Garage Games in 2007, early 2007, and I sort of looked out at the world and I said, okay, I've been making games my whole life, and now I have enough that will carry me, living a healthy and comfortable life for the rest of my life. But I don't have even a tiny drop compared to what's necessary to shift us to a more sustainable course as a culture. And that was really where the despair came from. So I started looking for products that I could purchase in the marketplace to help move the needle a little bit. And I had been a bicycle commuter for a long, long time, didn't have a car. So I thought, okay, I am sure that in the year 2007, there is a product that I can buy that will help me get across town on a rainy night to go have dinner with my folks. I don't want to pedal necessarily. It's dark, it's cold, I'm tired. Somebody's got to have made an electric vehicle that will solve this problem in a much more sustainable way than cars. So I was looking for a solution. I wasn't looking for a car. I was looking for a solution to the same problem that people use cars to solve on a regular basis, right? One person, you stand on a busy street corner, you see one person driving by in 4,000 pounds of steel, and that equation, burning an incredibly inefficient hydrocarbon energy transfer mechanism, just struck me as there's got to be a better way. So I figured somebody made this. I went searching for months and months and months. I looked for a solution that I could just buy off the shelf, and there was nothing. There was nothing on the drawing board. There was nothing in the queue. There was nothing available in the market. And I saw a vehicle in Eugene Celebration Parade, a little kit vehicle called the Buggy, 3 wheels, carried one person in a semi-enclosed fashion, zipped around on this pure, very torquey electric drive, and it was like the light bulb turned on. That there was this gap in between the motorcycle and the car, and that here on the road, we have no products in that gap. There are experimental vehicles, there have been a whole string of failures that have tried to crack that nut, but nobody's really delivered a product that hits that right on the nose. So that's where the exuberance came in. I ordered a kit. I said, okay, well, I had one successful startup under my belt. Surely the vehicle marketplace will be just as easy as a software company. What I recognized along the way is that it's not. It's in fact been by far the hardest endeavor that I've ever undertaken in my life. And just to echo again what David talked about, what Ryan talked about, there's this element of passion, which is what happens when you're doing something that you really care about. And this project has gotten so hard at so many points along the way that if I didn't actually believe in what we were doing, if I didn't actually fundamentally care about it to the core of my being, there is no way that I would have kept at it. It was only the fact that I really cared about what we were doing that has allowed me to persist at it for 5.5 years. Now, the good news is that after 5.5 years of doing something, you actually do begin to develop expertise in it. I've been fortunate to be able to partner with individuals on our team and in the outside world who bring that expertise in manufacturing and product design in the real world that have certainly helped me fill in all of the many missing pieces in my own skill set for doing this particular problem. And we've begun to show traction amongst early customers in the broader vehicle marketplace, and finally with the funding partners that are necessary to actually take this into full production. Rewinding to the game story, when I first worked in computer games, I worked for a company called Dynamics, and we were doing big budget titles for the sort of one of the major publishers in the industry. And teams, it was a precursor to what you see in the games industry today. You had teams at that point were 35 people working for 2.5 years, just grinding it out day after day after day, making a game. And the genesis of garage games was that just wasn't very fun. So here we were building entertainment products, and people were losing marriages, getting incredibly stressed, getting sick, and so on. And so we thought, this isn't what games is all about. Games is about having fun. It's about having fun making games. It's about the creative process. So what can we do to build games in a different way? At Garage Games, we came up with a different model for making games, and it all started with what is that core experience that we're trying to deliver to the customer? What is this core new idea that we're trying to put out there into the games world? And then how do we build the minimum product possible around that game in order to actually get it to its first point of market test? When I worked at Garage Games, the first game I worked on there was a game called Marble Blast. And so the game, all that it was a very realistic rolling marble, kind of like a modern day Marble Madness, rolling through a 3D environment. And as soon as we got the marble rolling properly, the question was, how do we wrap this up into a game as quickly as possible? So over the next 5 months, 2 programmers, 1 artist, turned that into our first game, Marble Blast. That led to Marble Blast Gold. Marble Blast Gold led to Marble Blast Xbox. Marble Blast Xbox led to Marble Blast Ultra on Xbox Live Arcade. So we had this very iterative process for developing successive versions of the product. But when we started, it was all about delivering that minimum viable experience to the end customer. And that experience in the games world ended up translating directly into how do we develop the most environmentally efficient electric vehicle on the road today? Because what we were looking for was not how do we build a full-size car, how do we pack 4,000 pounds of steel and an internal combustion engine on the road. It was, what is the minimum very cool thing that lets you get to work, lets you get to the grocery store, lets you take a friend out to a movie, and then wrapping the minimal product around that to get into the market. Partly it was because of development costs, partly it was because the fundamental thesis of the company was that people aren't going to buy an incredibly expensive vehicle in numbers to move the needle on transportation, on climate change, and so on, if it costs too much. Where we are today, we've now built 6 generations of prototype, and each generation of those prototypes were designed to test various ideas about the product, about the basic platform, about the marketplace interest, and all of that has congealed into a final product definition, a final product that we're going for. Our very next step is to build our first set of pilots, and these are going to be the first vehicles that we actually make more than one copy of. Everything up until now has been sort of an art project. It's been a unique vehicle. We're now going to make our first multiples in series production. We're building a short fleet of 15 vehicles. All of those are going to go out to key early adopters up and down the West Coast in preparation for entering series production next year. So one of the, I think it was Ryan who talked about, actually both Ryan and David talked about getting to your customers early. About 3 years ago, a Hollywood celebrity kind of sent an email into the company saying, I love what you guys are doing. I don't want a free one. I want the first one. And let me tell the world something great. Let me tell them I'm driving an Arcimoto. So we said, okay, that sounds like a good idea. And our goal right now, what that has done for us, having basically one customer out there to build a product for, has just given us an incredible amount of focus on providing the right experience. So right now, our 100% focus is building a vehicle in our shop, testing the heck out of it, and then putting it in its driveway, and letting that unfold into the broader consumer marketplace. When developing games, and it helps, it sort of helps that when I went on that search 6 years ago, looking for a product that would satisfy my daily driving needs, the search came up totally empty. Nathan went on that same search 3 years later, and his search came up with us. So I would say from a product development standpoint, it helps not only to be passionate about what you're doing, but also to be your own sort of ideal customer. And I heard this is not something that I came up with personally, but it's something that just as a piece of advice for building a company, building products, certainly building something new. Don't try and prove that what you're doing is going to work. Figure out the most cost-efficient test that will prove that your idea is not going to work, and do that first. And then figure out the next most cost-efficient test to prove why your idea isn't going to work, and do that. And just go after it in that kind of an iteration fashion. That helps you really identify as early on as possible if your kind of outlandish scheme is going to stand the test of reality. If there's any time left, I'm certainly happy to answer a question from you, Terry. But otherwise, I'd be happy to wrap it short and let everybody get to 30 seconds lunch earlier. We have the...
so when do you think this product will be?
We're going to have our first pilots on the road this year.
Cool.
So that'll be, in terms of the kind of the metric of reality of product to customer, that's going to happen in 2013. We're planning to enter series production next year,
Great.
2014, and then scale up from there, producing here in Oregon.
And come on, who's the celebrity?
A guy named Nathan Fillion.
Okay,
he's the lead on ABC's Castle.
Okay.
He is Castle.
One question.
So price is a really interesting question. We're targeting $17,500 initially. Our long-term goal is to put a second or third vehicle in your driveway for around $10,000. And that's the number that really moves it from a niche opportunity into just a big mass market shift.
Wow, cool. Thank you.
Thank you.